non-destructive D here, and I'm gonna tell you how to take down your opponent, destroy your opponent, make sure they never, ever get back up again, and that way you always be victorious.
All right, hey, did I get your attention now? All right, Daryl Ing from Western Style Martial Arts and Slim Fit Trim Health and Fitness. Thanks again for watching another video. I'm here in front of my house over in beautiful Seattle, actually, while we are still going through this pandemic lockdown at this point in time. So today, I actually just want to go through fluidity of movements, and I want to show you how to move like Bruce Lee. Now, you might not be able to move as fast, but you can start to maybe start moving as fluid if you start to understand how footwork works, how to make sure that your center of effort is directly over your center of gravity, so that way you're maintaining a good structure. So I'm going to go over just a few of these concepts with you, and I'll look forward to actually going over it with you more down the road when our studio gets opened up and the guys are back. And that way, you know, you'll get to see how it gets put together when there's an actual opponent to practice with. But you know, a little more background. I don't know if many of you actually knew that Bruce Lee, before he came to the US, he was actually the Cha-Cha champion in Hong Kong. And so he already understood fluidity of movement at that point in time. He had good structural frame, and if you're a dancer and you always partner dance, you always know you have to have proper structure, so that way you can communicate to your partner on how to move, the moves that you're going to execute with your partner. And it's no different than other things that it applies to, like football, basketball, baseball, any major sports, wrestling, and in martial arts. You're communicating actually with your opponent in a lot of ways. Your opponent's picking up cues. Of course, you're not friends if you're fighting, but still, you are actually in a dance and you're communicating to each other. And then, like when you do jeet, kune, wing chun, there's also, once we start to touch, we start to feel energy, sensitivity, and what the opponent's doing, so that way we can react, counteract, and still have smooth fluidity of movement as we're actually controlling our opponent to, you know, hopefully win the fight, that sort of thing. So these are the things that I'll start to try to go over with you today conceptually in this video, and I hope you kind of understand it. If you have any questions, please put them down in the comments down below. Also, I hope this is helpful, so please give me a thumbs up and subscribe. Smash that subscribe button, and then on the bell notification icon, there's a bell with that little active thing on it, and go ahead and click on that as well. So every time I have a new video to upload, you're going to get that as well. So anyway, on with the show. Hey, we're back. So we're underneath the front porch of my house here over in Seattle. So as I was mentioning to you guys a little bit earlier about having proper frame and dance, I can show you a little bit more. Always want to make sure you're not bending over. Again, when I mentioned center of effort over center of gravity, you want to make sure these are always aligned. And just like in dance, you always have to have a good solid frame so you can communicate to your partner what moves are going to be happening when you're going to push him or her, and give her the cues to maybe do a twirl, a body cue, something like that. The footwork is also important. And like in any endeavor, whether it's going to be in skating, in football, in baseball, track, everything is always predicated on proper structure, proper stance, hip alignments, and you'll always find that the cream of the crop athletes, like the 1% of the 1%, have that down really, really accurately. But let me caveat that when you're in a fight, when you're doing sports, when you're playing basketball, you know you're actually dynamically moving. So you have to understand what I mean by keeping your body relaxed and quiet still. And it's not this extraneous amount of motion. You're not bouncing up and down, but I'm still moving. Basketball, I can shuffle my feet, I can dribble. Same thing with the fight, but now, as I keep my upper body quiet, my center of gravity, my structure is still in its proper place, but I might have to move. I might have to bob and weave, and I gotta maybe fade back, come forward, but I'm not going to, okay, if you notice, all of a sudden my weight shifted so far back that, again, my center of effort went way over my center of gravity, and now I'm trying to balance as I'm falling backwards. So I gotta make sure that I'm understanding how to move my hips around, so as I'm fading back, it's just enough to still stay in balance. I can still have enough weight on both feet to move, so I can still, I don't want to fade back all the way where I'm off balance, but I can fade back just like this, but I can still move my feet back and forth. So you have to understand how to keep yourself quiet, moving around, but still over your feet, so you can still move, still have to be able to move back and forth, and keep your fluidity of movement, your fluidity of motion. I'm going to use those terms loosely together. And so you want to be able to move, duck around, bob and weave. But I'm not going to be coming in and doing all this stuff. I'm going to be quiet. I'm going to be coming in, moving around, kicking, blocking, hitting, side kick, come back in. So there's a certain, again, quietness to this, all right? So, you know, even like when I'm teaching skiing, one of the first things we teach is, well, when you walk, you actually have a proper walk. You're not going to take giant steps. You don't walk like that. You don't walk like this. You walk normally. And that's how everything in athletics, sports, whatever it is, should always be approached with, as well as just basic proper stance, because this is what your body is accustomed to, and this is how it's going to move, and it's going to be a very natural movement, and that's what creates fluidity, are your own natural movements. Okay, so you can see as I just keep moving, I can just move everything fluidly, smoothly. I don't have to jerk around, I don't tighten up, and that's what happens too. Like, and I'll use dance a lot in examples, because I do like to dance. I do a lot of partner dancing, and again, if I stiffen up, it's hard for my partner, for her to read what I'm going to do, because she can't quite feel everything. I'm too tense, and the key to dancing, the key to all your endeavors is just to stay relaxed, so that way I can move very easily. It's the communication is always going to be precise. If I'm stiff, it's just going to be hard. I have to push, and that communication right there can be intimidating. But if I'm relaxed, my partner will always be relaxed as well. I think a lot of you will know this, just like even if you're in an argument, and if you get tense, you know the person that you're arguing with, they get tense too. But if you can start to control the situation, and if you can relax, they can relax. Even the tone of my voice can change from being excited like I was just a few seconds ago, to now just being more calm as I'm talking to you. Excuse me. And that's how you want to be when you're actually in a combat situation as well. But basically, again, I just want to talk about these concepts of movement and fluidity. And when you're in a stance, just like if you're going to be practicing even the Filipino martial arts of eskrima, you want to be able to have that fluidity of motion, because what they do from the jungle fighting to what Wing Chun, Jeet Kune Do is, they're actually all very similar. They're all very fluid in their movements. They all flow. With the Filipino martial arts, they emphasize more on their sticks. They could have knives. So those are extensions of your hands, actually. But otherwise, what I do a lot of with Jeet Kune Do Wing Chun is open hand movements. However, if I had a weapon, it's not going to be much different how I want to move. It's just that I got an extension now. So like, if, for example, if I've got a hammer fist, well, there might be a blade right there, and I'm going to hammer that blade in. Same thing. So even with the stick, if I want to punch, well, that stick can be an elongation of that punch. I can hit, come in, see how smooth that just kind of transitions. If I'm already going to strike, I'm probably going to be closing at the same time, gonna come in, I can use the elbow, and then I can use my hammer fist, which might be the butt end of the stick as well, to hit, and then I can come back with the stick to hit this way, come back 2, 3, and then I can come back. Again, there's blocks, hits this way. Now, again, you saw, if you just are watching my movements, you see that my structure, my frame, I'm not bending over a lot, and I'm not putting more weight on my front foot or my back foot. I'm trying to keep it even. And if I do come forward like this, I'm not trying to put a lot of weight here, because if I do, and I get jammed up, my opponent can pull me over quite easily. But if I'm here, and you notice my legs shift. So this is, again, part of the fluidity of motion, where if I'm bending over, I still got a 50-50 weight distribution. It might look like I'm bent over. My center of effort is a little bit over my center of gravity, but I can still, see how I can just move back and forth? But if I come over this leg, it's much harder for me to flex and move back and forth. The other thing is, again, my stance isn't predicated on a wider stance. This is not natural for me. My natural stance is just like I'm walking. It's going to be that width of the gait. And so you want to make sure you understand that when you're in your fight situation, you're going to stay within the width of your own gait. And even when you're kicking, I can just pretty much keep my weight even. Kick the cabinet. My wife will kill me if I break it, but you get the idea. I'm just coming in and I'm able to kick. With my hands up, I can guard, kick, just flick that out. Sorry, honey. So anyway, that's the idea. And same thing when I'm doing my martial arts stance. Whatever leg I'm in, front leg, either left or right, I'm coming in. You notice how everything's quiet. I'm not bouncing up and down. I'm actually just moving very quietly. And restaurant workers are actually really good at this because they know as they're holding their dishes and they're coming in to serve people, they actually know how to walk. And a lot of times they may not be walking on their heels. Like dancers, they learn how to use their toe, side heel, rather than heel coming down. And even runners know this, because it's a barefoot style. It's a very natural style of running versus if you hit in your shins. That's how you get shin splints. That's how the transfer of energy comes up your legs. You have knee problems, you have hip problems later on because you don't have a shock absorber of your toes and your knees bending in order to absorb that high impact. You're coming down this way and look, it's straight. And so again, this hinders fluidity of motion just for a second until you roll that foot back down into the next position where the joints start to bend the way they're supposed to bend. So again, I want to just make sure you understand this concept of fluidity of motion. Now, as you watch my kick come, and I'm kicking, when I teach the actual mechanics of the kick, we'll break it down really slow. And like for the front kick, it's basically 4 steps. 1, 2, 3, 4. Back down to my natural gait right here. However, when you're actually in a fight, if you do 1, 2, 3, 4, even if it's fast, and I'm not going very fast, but you can, I just want you to be able to see this, it takes a lot more time. Okay, and I will show you how to speed this up. Think of it like you know in music, you got a 4/4 count, there's a beat, 1, 2, 3, 4, and then there's half beats, and then there's 8th beats, 16th beats, and that's kind of what we do with our movements. We could shorten the beats down a bit. So rather than going with a full single note, 1, 2, 3, 4, I can go 1. 1, that's actually 1.5 if you look at it, because what's happening is as this leg's coming up, since I've already trained and know how to kick, rather than doing the 4 count, I bring it up 1, and as this is coming up, this is already getting ready to fire. That's on a half beat. So it just comes up, bang, 1.5, back down. And then I finish the beat on the other half. So I've only done 2 beats instead of 4 beats on the kick, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1.5, 2. Maybe it's even a half, depending on how fast you are. But that's it. And you notice, again, I keep my weight pretty well distributed. My weight's only going to shift just for a second because, of course, it's always natural. You're going to have more weight on the leg that's actually holding you up. But as soon as I come back down, I'm back to 50-50. I always land light. I don't put down. I just pound my foot back down to the ground and plant it, because that will just redistribute my weight unevenly. But if I'm here and I come in, see, it's just nice and light, and I'm back. I can move. I'm always going to keep my guard up. I'm going to keep my hands up to protect. Don't want to drop them down this way and kick. I know it's like, I think some of the Muay Thai guys, when they kick, they're trying to get more extra power. They pump their hand down for the kick, or they might just do this. And you know, I think a lot of times you can get away with that, but there still might be the lucky kick or the lucky punch that comes in, whether it's a roundhouse kick, a side kick, a hook. We like to keep our hands up and protected, and we're very well balanced. So when that kick comes, hopefully I can defend against the roundhouse kick that comes. Or maybe there's something that's coming in as a counter side kick. Here, I can maybe drop my elbow down if I have to. And it's all going to depend. There's never a set pat situation. I think when you're first learning martial arts, a lot of times you're showing off to your friends, or you're just having a discussion, and they ask, well, what if this happens? What if this happens? What if that happens? And then they try something, and then you're not experienced enough, for one, for one thing, you're not experienced enough to actually know what to do, and then they might throw another counter right away, and then they go, oh, that stuff doesn't work. Versus you have to understand and say, well, it's all situational. And so if they happen to throw one particular punch, you go, well, this could be a counter. This could be the counter. For example, if you see, go back and look at my other videos on how to pak sao like Bruce Lee. There's part 1 and part 2. Especially in part 2, I have the guys in the background as they're watching, and I'm showing them how Bruce Lee had countered Bob Wall, who played Ohara in Enter the Dragon. And you also can see his fluidity of movements. Everything that I'm telling you here about Bruce's movements, his body structure, the way he moves, everything is fluid and, of course, fast. But going back to the different moves now, and if your friends are asking you, well, how do you do this, how do you do that? And you can hear in the background, one of my guys was asking me, well, rather than doing this double arm block, coming up with the buji, and then the back fist like they did in the movie, he goes, well, why can't you just bring your elbow up and hit him? And I said, well, you can. My point at that time was just breaking down the movie and showing him how that was done, because cinematically it looked much more cool. But in a real life fight, I know that Bruce wouldn't do this. And because we don't either, and this is what we actually learned when he would be teaching. Not that I got his direct teaching, but through my Sifu, who was his best friend, and my other Sifu, who was his first student, Jesse Glover. So I've been able to learn over these years from Jesse Glover and from Taki Kimura. And then on top of that, I've taken Wing Chun lessons as well through the lineage of Hawkins Chung and Wang Shangleng. So that kind of helps me a little bit. But otherwise, you want to get more direct to the point, and you're going to be fluid in your movements. If I'm going to do a double arm block, let's say this punch is coming at me, and here, let me just demonstrate over here since I don't have a partner. But let's say that guy's just throwing a straight left arm, okay? So I'm blocking that left arm with 2 hands. And again, the fluidity of movement, you can just see how I move. It's like a dance. It's very, very simple. I block, I come back down, over, and I'm blocking, and this hand just comes up as a back fist. Just block again. This is going to slide, actually, as this actually stays in touch with that arm that I've just blocked, and I just come back up, because basically I'm kind of like chambering a little bit like a gun, and I'm going to back fist him. But then the more fluid movement, the better direct attack is what my student was asking me, where it was just block, and then right away, since I'm already blocked it, why not just bring the elbow in to hit? That actually is much more effective. But again, I was talking about the movie and how it was making it look cool in the movie. But there's so many things you can do with fluidity of movement. After this hit, right away, the face, the throat, it's still open for either a knife hit into the throat area. I could take a hammer fist, hit anywhere along these areas here as well. And there's so many things you can do to hit, come in, bang. This hand will then be able to come up over here, come down. I might even be down here. And again, I'm not gonna break this way because now my weight's over my feet and way over here. And here, let me show you. You'll see that I'm starting to get on my toes. And I don't wanna do that. So I wanna make sure that as I come down, and if I have to come down low, I'm actually sinking. And I'm not going to be sinking wide again. I want to keep my gait as close to normal as possible. As I come down, hit, I might be able to grab that guy's leg, come around and pick him up. Down he goes. I come and step right into the guy. So there's so many things you can do. And again, the whole idea of this particular video right now is just to show you concepts in fluidity, and movement. As I go back and forth, I can stay very light on my feet in this particular gait as I either close or if I have to fall back. You notice I don't bring my feet together. So I'm not going to be shuffling this way because I lose my balance, I lose my base of support. And again, you don't walk like this, do you? Well, you might, just if it's a show or something, but your balance point, your base is very small, and so that's why it's a normal gait. Same thing here, when I'm moving in, it's a normal gait. Whether I'm right-footed or left-footed forward, it's a normal gait. Also, you know, we don't talk about this in this day and age, but back in the day, you know, when there were like finishing schools where you were learning proper manners and that sort of thing, and you might have to walk with a cup of tea and a little plate, or you might have a book on your head. You know, you don't walk up and down, things are going to spill, that sort of thing. You walk smoothly. The upper body's quiet. Everything is just quiet. Same thing when I'm teaching skiing. Everything happens from here down below. The upper body is very, very quiet. You're not skiing and going up and down the slope. It's actually just the legs moving back and forth. The arms are very quiet. My shoulders might be turning in certain positions as I'm working on my turn, but for the most part, I'm usually going to keep my head, my eyes, my torso facing down the hill while my hips just happen to move across the hill. Notice how I keep everything quiet, and it's just the legs that are moving, and this stays in pretty good positions. So that's basically how I would teach skiing. Well, martial arts now is the same. When you see me shuffle in my fluidity of movement, you don't see me bouncing up and down. You see how everything's moving up and down right now? But rather I keep it quiet, and I just keep everything still. Watch a figure skater sometime. When they're skating across that rink, watch how quiet their upper body is. It's amazing when they're moving on their skates. And again, even when I'm partner dancing, I can't be noisy up here because my partner doesn't know what I'm going to do. So even if we're swing dancing or salsa, my feet can be moving, my waist can be moving, but my upper body is very relaxed, very quiet, and just flowing. So that way, when I'm pushing with my hands, or if my body dynamic happens to change through my hips, my partner's going to know that I'm sending her a signal to have her do something. And again, that's what I'm doing even in martial arts. I'm sending my partner a signal. He knows I'm doing something. If my hands are up, you know right away as a viewer, this is fighting, right? But if I'm here like this, I'm in neutral position, you don't know what I'm communicating except for I'm kind of neutral. So I'm very relaxed. I'm not standing up, sticking my chest out, wanting to get in. You can see again, this is an unnatural posture and it's intimidating. So these are the things you start to learn in self-defense as well on, well, where do I want to keep my hands? You notice a lot of policemen, the reason they keep their hands on their belts and they look relaxed, they're actually ready. They're ready to bring those hands up. You see someone contemplating, I'm talking to you. My hands are ready to go. You know, it's like I see we're talking, you try to come up and push me or something like that, my hands are ready to block. Hit, see, kick, I'm ready. So those are the things that you want to be able to do with your fluidity of motion. Number one key, always stay relaxed. If you get tense and I'm here and even if I'm just trying to fake it, my kick is a lot slower. But if I'm here and I'm relaxed, my kick, my low kick, my high kick can be pretty fast. And you notice I'm not breaking my body, I'm not kicking or punching my back, I'm not losing my balance. We're gonna have to work on balance a lot, but everything's quiet. See? See? Down below, up high. Works with roundhouse kick, side kicks, the front kick, even just a low shovel kick. Notice how I just stayed quiet. And that's how that all works. Those are the fluidities of movement you can use that are quick, precise, and effective. Because here it is bang, 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 bang. And now that I've already distracted this person with 3 hits in less than a second, all of a sudden this hand, which was here, is already poised to come in this way, and I don't reach forward. Again, don't break your structure. I'm just gonna move my hip into it this way, and then I can also step into it. But again, just like walking, everything's just a natural movement to continue the flow, to continue the fluidity of how things are done. So again, I'll look forward to showing you guys these more when we're back in the studio, and I have the guys to work out with too, so you can actually have you can see the model better. So anyway, again, thank you very much for watching this. I hope you understand it. If you have any questions, please put them down below or email me. I'll get back to you. All the information is down below. Also, just give me your thumbs up that you like this, and then subscribe and hit that the notification bell. You'll see where it has it all kind of a thing there, parentheses. Click on that as well, so that way you'll be constantly updated when I have new videos that come out for you. And I hope they're really, really helpful. So thanks a lot. Have a good one. I'll look forward to seeing you again soon. All right? See ya.